Welcome to the Fantasy Grimoire podcast. It's incredible to have you with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited.
We discovered each other in a little bit of an unorthodox way. If I remember correctly, I was running a birthday competition last year, and you were one of the winners. And I sent you a copy of The Rule of the Damned, and we've just kind of been chatting on and off since then. Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, no, so I think I didn't initially win the giveaway, but you were kind enough to send an extra 3 people copies of your book as part of your birthday celebration. Got it here with me. It's very treasured.
But Danny, let's get chatting about how you grew your following, because you have a pretty significant following, but like I know that you didn't get into Bookstagram to grow thousands of followers. I feel like there's a bit of a story here. Do you want to tell it to us?
Yeah, so I made my account at the beginning of last year, 2024, and I'd been back into reading for a few years. I was constantly on TikTok, Instagram looking for new book recommendations, and I saw how many people were getting back into reading and reading the same things that I was reading. There's thousands of girls in the comments exchanging book recommendations. So I think the short version of this answer would be I got FOMO. So I made my account because I saw this entire community of people chatting and talking away about books, and that's not something that I had in real life. None of my friends at the time would read any books, which was devastating to me because books are my life. I read every single day. And it was just really important to me, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I sort of turned to Instagram and made my account, and I have found the most amazing people on there. I've made people that I would consider friends. They're funny. They give me book recommendations. There's people that I talk to every single day, and I think it was just sort of looking for that kind of friendship is what made me start my account. I started off posting just books that I was reading, and then I got into writing reviews, and then I found that I wanted to take nicer pictures. So I got into the aesthetically posting and found that I liked that a lot more rather than just sharing books I was reading and reviews. I like to post the pretty books that I collect and have on my shelves.
I know that in my life, none of my friends read fantasy books, and
Yeah,
I'm a diehard fantasy girly. Like I don't discriminate. Give me romantasy, give me horror, give me urban. Like
give me everything.
yeah, I think I didn't even know Bookstagram was a thing until a few years ago. It's a community that I have created from my account. It's still wild to me that some of these people I've never met in real life, but I talk to them and I share things with them that you typically wouldn't share with strangers
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
internet.
absolutely. There's some people on Bookstagram know things about me that
Yeah.
my in real life friends don't know. I
Yeah,
tell them everything. I probably tell them too much, if anything.
I can so relate with that. And it's it's weird because I almost want to say the open arms kind of embracing us attitude that comes from the Bookstagram community. Like, sure, just like with anything, you get your bad side, your toxic side, your people that aren't behaving accordingly side. We'll get to that in a bit. But for the most part, I think the non-judgment like vibes coming from everyone and how everyone seems to have each other's back, it's refreshing in this day
Yeah,
and age.
no, absolutely. And I love that there's so many different communities. So all the different genres of books, the categories of books, everyone has their own sort of little community. So I know that everyone that I follow and who follows me, we have something in common already. So already it's easy to talk to these people.
To agree with you, then I swear I have different opinions to you, but like right now I agree with everything you're saying. So one of my closest groups of friends are predominantly urban fantasy authors. Granted, I write urban fantasy, so I was always going to gravitate towards that. But
Mhm.
at the same time, some of my close friends are also romantasy authors because I might not write romantasy, but I love reading it. So
Yeah,
we kind of all have that thing in common, as you said. It's a wonderful thing how books, they're very important to me too, can connect so many different cultures. You're British, I'm South African, living in Amsterdam. One of my closest friends is American. There's an Australian in the mix too. Like we're literally covering the whole globe
everywhere.
right now.
I love it.
Um, confused for British a lot. It's very irritating because you can obviously hear I'm not British, but so many people think I am because I don't
Oh
have.
no, I used to work with a load of South African people. I was in the army for a while, and we have loads of South Africans. Yeah.
No, wait,
Um,
hold on, pause. You were in the army for a while.
yeah, I did 6 years. I joined when I was 17 and left when I was 23.
You have just completely caught me off guard. That is like the fucking truth thing I've ever.
I'm not too bad with identifying that accent.
So, Danny, you were touching on getting back onto reading a little bit earlier. And during the pandemic, a lot of us read ACOTAR, and that was the gateway for us to get back into reading. Since then, we've had the Empyrean series come out. And we know that Rebecca has been very clear about, hey, she is going to write book 4, but she needs a little bit of a break before she gets there. Otherwise, she's burnt out. So while we're waiting, I would love to hear from you. What is your prediction for this series?
I'm one of those people that I'm quite bad at coming up with theories myself. The first thing I do when I get to an unfinished series is immediately hop on to Instagram or TikTok and scroll through thousands of videos and thousands of comments and reading other people's theories, because some of the details and some of the things that these people are coming up with are absolutely insane. It's something that I never ever could have thought of myself. It actually confuses me how people can be so creative, because my brain just doesn't work like that. Like, I pick up a book and my brain goes smooth. Like, I have no thoughts. But I do think for this series, now that the stakes are higher, especially at the end of Onyx Storm, I think now that the stakes are higher and there was a huge shift, there was a big plot twist at the end of the book. Hopefully in book 4, we're going to get a load of different POVs. I don't think it's going to be just Violet's point of view. I'm hoping that Rebecca will bring in these different characters, not just Xaden, but all the other characters as well, because it is starting to get juicy, it's starting to get a bit more interesting. But in terms of what I think the actual plot is going to look like, I have no idea. But I think something big, like either a main character is going to get unfortunately killed off, or betray the group, do something that they don't want to do, but they think it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like this series has been heartbreaking enough yet. Some people might think differently, but I think the worst is yet to come.
I fully agree with you. And I know that we're all especially worried about Riddock. Is that how you say his name? Riddock?
I think so. I don't know. I just make
Like,
it up as I go along.
yeah, like I can say it in my head, but I've never actually had to say it out loud
Yeah,
before.
saying it.
I never thought of it that way before. Because if we look at a podcast like Fantasy Fangirls, I love them too, and the way they do go into these deep dives. I was watching their stories once where I think they read any book that they do a deep dive of like 10 times on
It's
average,
crazy.
or they do the episode breakdown and they come up with all these theories. And I know it sounds a little bit contradictory seeing as I'm an author, but like I can't make up theories for someone else's work. I go to a podcast like that to see what their theories are because it just feels more natural for me. But
Yeah,
like at the end of Onyx Storm, I was a little bit thrown about the one kind of random POV shift at the end. I kind of felt like it should have been more. So I would actually love to see more POVs going into the next book as
yeah.
well. At the time of recording this episode, I actually didn't realize that this author I'm going to reference next, same name as you, but Danny Francis has been causing a lot of controversy because I've seen two arguments here. I write under a pen name, just like a lot of authors do, and that is purely for, I don't want to say security reasons, but I have a very good job and I'd like to keep my job and my writer life separate. Other authors have kids and they want to protect their kids and so forth. Now, Danny Francis has written under a pen name, and the hook that the marketing company has used is that it's another well known author that is writing under this. And that's how they're generating a lot of buzz.
Hmm.
So some people are saying, well, that's their problem and they could be a problematic author. But then other people are saying, hey, pen names are there for a reason, back off. I'd love to know which side you fall on. Or is there another argument that I can't think of?
Um, I've been seeing this on Instagram for the last few weeks because Silver Elite, up to it being published, absolutely blew up. It was everywhere. And I'm definitely one of those people that is curious to know who is behind the pen name. But I think if a publisher or a marketing agency is going to use a well-known author writing under a pen name to market, then they have to expect people to be curious, and people are going to dig and they're going to come to conclusions themselves, even if that wasn't your intention. So I don't think pen names are an issue at all. Like, it helps authors separate them being an author to their actual life. So I don't think the pen name is the issue. I just think it's how it's been used. Because obviously people are going to come to their own conclusions. They're going to want to know, like you said, is the author problematic? Or is it my favourite author? But I think at a certain point it can get quite uncomfortable for readers and the author too, because especially if people are trying to dig into their personal life and find out who they are. But no, I'm definitely curious to find out who is behind the pen name. But at the same time, to me, I personally don't think it's a big deal if the author wants to keep it a secret or she wants to come out and tell everyone who she is. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah.
I just think people should read the book, enjoy it, move on.
Yeah. I've heard some wild theories like that HJM is just one of them.
I saw that too.
And I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't fit with her personality. I mean, obviously, from what we've seen online, I've also seen another one that it's Daniel L. Jensen.
I saw that one, and I saw someone also say that they think it could be Bryn Weaver.
No, okay.
And that one was juicy because that's so different.
Yeah. And also, I'm pretty sure that Bryn Weaver is a pen name actually as well. I could be wrong on that one.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just such an interesting discussion because I haven't seen the subject of pen names blow up like this.
No, neither have I. And it's honestly, it's something I never thought about before this.
Another indie author that is, I would say, blowing up on Bookstagram, Briar Boleyn. So I didn't know this originally. She's an indie, like me, which is really cool. And I'm seeing her Bloodwing Academy. The first book is Wings of Blood. People are going absolutely feral for this book. And I'm hearing some comps that it's a fourth wing replacement. For me, it felt more like Vampire Academy. I don't know if you've read Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, but like it was giving me a comp kind of in that area. She's also recently been picked up for traditional, which is very exciting for an indie. I would love to know from you, number one, what did you think of the series? Because I know you've read it. And number two, if you had to recommend this series to someone, who would you recommend it to?
This series is hyped up for a reason. So I have only read book 1, which is terrible because I absolutely loved it, but my TBR is so long, I genuinely do not know when I'm going to get to book 2. But book 1, I absolutely devoured it. I loved every single page. There's a reason there's so much hype behind it. And I love her work anyway. I've loved her previous books. But I haven't read Vampire Academy, so I can't really comment on that. But Fourth Wing, I can see where that's coming from because it's boarding school vibes. All the main characters are living together. And then it's got the tropes that everyone loves. The intense training, the enemies to lovers, the power dynamics between the male main character, the female main character. It's got delicious, juicy tension. And morally grey characters that are actually morally grey. Like, they're awful, but you root for them and you love them anyway. So if that's kind of your vibe, then you should 100% pick it up. I don't think it's a light, fluffy read. Like, if you like your fantasy romance books a little bit darker, then you should definitely pick it up. I'd recommend it to anyone. But no, I really need to read book 2. I'm so far behind in my TBR, it's not even funny anymore. Stressed.
I had to take to reading like 4 books this year at once. I never used to be that person where I would read one book at a time, finish it, and move to the next. Now I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah, so that was me about 3 months ago, and now I think I've got 4 books on the go as well.
It's the only way because I can't. I want to read these books that everyone's talking about.
That's what I mean. I get FOMO. It's why I'm on Instagram, and I'm getting FOMO because there's so many amazing books being released, and I'm falling behind, and I cannot catch up for the life of me.
Some readers, they do prefer the more cozy fantasy or cozy romantasy. If that's the case, maybe Wings of Blood is not for you.
No.
I would definitely not say it's a cozy read because I've also only read book one. So I fully agree with you on that. I do have to ask you, and I ask every guest this question, so you are not getting away scot-free.
Oh no.
What's your bookish hot take?
I have a few.
Go for it. We have time.
Okay, so one thing that I am passionate about is I don't care how old a book is, how popular a book is. If you are gonna post a spoiler about it online, there needs to be a spoiler warning. Because I see people, myself included, talking all the time about how Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, all those huge books and other extremely popular series with them spoiled for them before they started reading. And I was the same. Like, the first Throne of Glass book came out when I was 13. I didn't read it until I was 24. And you know what I mean? Just because there's an 11-year gap between book one and me reading it doesn't mean that it should be spoiled for me. And everyone knows it's an extremely popular series. And new readers are picking up these books every single day. And I just think that everyone should be able to experience all the plot twists, all the heartbreak firsthand without that spoiler being in the back of their mind, waiting for that moment to happen. So that's my first one.
I love that. I love the list. And I'm like, I'm just sitting here. So you can categorize that one under Bookstagram Etiquette 101.
Oh, yeah. But it's just the worst. Like, the day Onyx Storm got released, I saw a spoiler as soon as I opened Instagram.
What?
Like, a girl that I followed at the time, flew through the book and at the end of the day posted a spoiler on her story. Whether intentionally or not, I don't know. But I wasn't happy.
I actually think that's where, again, to reference them, that's where fantasy fangirls do it really, really well. Like on their reels or their first carousel, they'll
Mhm.
post this big ass spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. So if you're still watching past second three, like that's on you. But
Yeah.
I think the fact that they are so intentional and so considerate. So I think
Yeah.
we can definitely look to them and how they do that there.
This is more for fantasy romantasy. Dragons, phoenixes, I feel like they're making a comeback. I've seen a lot of them around recently. Mythical creatures with wings deserve more than just being a flying taxi driver, and I'm going to stand by this till the day I die. Like, give them thoughts, give them dialogue. I want to hear their snarky, ancient comments and see their personalities, like, not just have them stood to the side waiting for the main character to need a lift to the shop because she needs a loaf of bread and a 6-pack of eggs. Do you know what I mean?
That's brilliant. That is so true because, again, we reference Fourth Wing on this because they are the benchmark for dragons right now. I
Yeah.
haven't seen Phoenixes in a while. If we look at Terran, right, we all love Terran and Andarna, and they're, like you're saying, they're snarky, banter. If Rebecca kills off Terran, I'm going to track her down
I'm
because,
losing my shit.
like, do not touch it.
Bring him
Kill
back.
someone else, not him. I can see what you're talking about now because there's this whole history of the dragon world that we want this world building as a reader. We're going to eat that up. We are ready to have it served to us. So I think that's an excellent point actually for authors, and that's something we need to remember.
Yeah. And I just feel like it creates so much more for the book as well, that you can open up an entire new world
Yeah.
by just involving the dragons or the other mythical creatures that you've got and giving them a pass and letting them speak.
Yeah.
And it just makes the book, gives it something more, I think, in my opinion.
And this is exactly the kind of feedback that we look for as authors because I was chatting to a friend about this the other day where when I'm in the process of writing, and let's say I'm waiting for feedback from someone, I switch to another manuscript just to get a bit of distance from it. And sometimes that distance helps me see the most obvious things that I missed. Okay. And for this kind of feedback, it may seem obvious, but sometimes we become too close to our manuscripts and we
Yeah.
miss, like, we might be like, okay, cool, we want our FMC to save the world. That is our main objective on the plot. So that we sometimes forget about these tiny little subplots that can just elevate the main plot even more. So
Mhm.
it's important feedback. It really is.
The touch her, touch him and die trope.
Yeah.
It will never get old. I will love that until the day I die. Again. obsessed with it, eat it up every single time. But if he doesn't actually threaten anyone, doesn't threaten to burn the world down, burn the kingdom down, that's not giving me anything. Like that, I have nothing to eat. Like I'm starving. That's 0 calories. Like make the threats be destructive, be morally grey. And that's another thing. It's like when a book is described and promoted as having the male main character as being morally grey or a villain, except sometimes he's just a guy. Like he has a traumatic backstory and he's angry at the world. Like that's not a morally grey villain. He just needs to go to a couple therapy sessions.
To anyone that does not follow you on Instagram right now and they're not, I would say, able to witness your hilarious stories sometimes and your, yeah, you've got a great sense of humor. I think there was one about unhinging your jaw the other day, which into a fit of giggles.
I have too much fun on my close friend's story. Way too much.
Funny enough, I haven't seen Touch Him or Her, whichever version you want to go with, and Die for quite a while, actually. I'm seeing a lot of people focusing on the enemies to lovers trope. I actually wouldn't mind a Touch Him and Die kind of a recommendation if you want to shoot one off to me after the podcast.
Yes, of course, I could think of so many, but put me on the spot. My mind's blank.
Same. It like the problem of Bookstagram is everywhere. Like, I mean, one of my friends, she asked for some recommendations the other day, and I was like, "Wait, I know this." I actually had to go into my Goodreads TBR and start scouring them because I know what she likes. So not all. And I was like, "Okay, you can read this. You'll like this. You'll like this." But it took me like a good 30 minutes to give her a proper answer.
I relate to that. That's also one of my favorite activities, is to just go through my list of books I've read and my TBR to give people recommendations. I absolutely love it.
It's when someone reads one of your recommendations and then they come back to you and they say, "I loved it," you're like, "Yes, it's the best in
Goosebumps.
the world."
I get goosebumps because I'm like, I knew you were gonna love it. I'm never wrong.
Adds to CV skills, recommends books to people they love. You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, though, with the unfinished series aspect. And I'm seeing two main camps with an unfinished series. Some readers won't start an unfinished series because they don't want to wait for that completion. I have mentioned on the podcast before that one of my unfinished series that haunt me to this day is by Rochelle Mead, Game Order of the Gods. It ended on a cliffhanger and she's probably not going to release book 3, and that kills me every day. Then I see some other readers going, you have to read an unfinished series because if you don't, the indie author can't keep writing. So it's an interesting balance to try and maintain. I would love to know from you, what is your take on this discussion?
So I won't lie, that used to be me. Used to be. Mainly because when I really love a book, I will get completely and wholly sucked into it until I can no longer think about anything else. So when I finished a book that I absolutely loved, became obsessed with, and then would go to pick up the next book just to find out that it wasn't released yet, that would break my heart. And I would really struggle because there was nothing I wanted more than to find out what would happen next. And I feel like a lot of readers will relate to that. Because it is difficult when you fall in love with these characters and you want to know. There's a huge cliffhanger at the end. It's hard. But it wasn't until I made my Instagram account that I realised how much indie authors relied on their readers. I was completely unaware of that. I think I just thought books were just pulled out of thin air. That was all there was to it. So yeah, I was completely unaware, and now I use my account to rant and rave about indie authors, promote them, hype them up, and I absolutely love doing it. So since finding out how much they need their readers to keep writing, it sort of like flipped a switch in my brain, and now I have absolutely no problem picking up a book and reading an unfinished series. Like, I'm more than happy to wait for the next book to come out now, and sometimes the build up for the next book is one of the best parts, because everyone's buzzing for it, everyone's freaking out over the little snippets that we get, the teasers, the first 5 chapters or whatever of the new book, the cover reveals, the advanced reader copies, the proof copies going out. I think it makes it really exciting, and that's also another thing that introduced me to applying for advanced reader copies and proof copies to read before release day. So hopefully this episode of the podcast makes people realise that so much good can come out of it. Like, I've joined street teams and arc teams just to create hype for this book, but no, I 100% think that people should pick up an unfinished series and just become part of the team that hypes up the next book, especially if you love it.
One of my friends a while ago when Fourth Wing came out, she said to me, she was like, "Oh, Fourth Wing's not that great," and I was like, "Listen, love it or hate it, I actually don't care which camp you fall into. For me, it's entertaining, number one, and that's." I'm a vibes girly. Make me feel something. If you're making me feel something, 10 out of 10. You can take my money.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I said to her, it was the first book on Bookstagram that I could be part of the hype. And I was
Yeah.
like, and that's fun. I want to gush over something sexy Zayden did with Violet with my friend who's just read the same thing as me, and we can fangirl together. Like, that's part of the appeal for me. For Iron Flame, I took a day off work to read it. Like that.
So many people did. It's so funny.
And
Everyone's calling in sick.
and everyone was like, "Are you really going to waste a day of annual leave on that?" So I was like, "Listen, I
What
get
do you mean waste?
5 days of annual leave. Okay, I will if I want to spend it on reading a book. You know what? It could be drugs.
So what do you mean by waste?
That is a
Excuse
great
me?
clarification. I love that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think again, going back to what you highlighted at the beginning of this, it's about the community and it's about being able to share in our love for these books and actually having that community to bounce all these reactions and feelings off. And it really is my favorite part of this. I was talking to one of my, I don't want to call her a follower because she's become more of a friend. She's also just released her debut, and we were just sharing about how we've found such an incredible place releasing books on this. So, sure, yeah, we should make money, blah, 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 like that will come, whatever. But just being able to move someone with your words and then being able to discuss fan theories with people that have read your words, like that is the fucking coolest thing I've ever experienced.
And that's what I mean. It's another great way to meet people as well, because when you are part of these groups and these teams, you're all in it for the same reason.
Yeah. You hype up a lot of indie books. And for this next question, it doesn't have to be indie. You can go traditional as well. I would love to know from you, what's an underrated fantasy book that you believe deserves way more love than it's been getting?
I've got two that come to mind just because they are my absolute favourite books. You can see them in the background. So I don't know if they're underrated, but I would definitely love to see more of them and more people picking up these books just because they're incredible. But the first books that come to mind is the Dragon Queen series by E.C. Garrett, which are just here. I love them so much that I ended up buying the collector's editions. And it's unfinished. I'm not sure when the next book's coming out. And the other books I would like to mention is The Cursed Bonds duology by Elena Nikitin. I hope I've said that right. But they're both indie authors and they are both just absolutely incredible with what they do. Their books are just amazing. The Dragon Queen series is incomplete, but when I tell you that I think about this series all the time, that's why they have such a special spot on my shelves. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
It has everything you could possibly want in a fantasy romance books. It's got dragons, fae, elves, wolves, magic, fighting scenes. It's funny, well-timed spice, which is sometimes quite hard to get right. And it's one of the few books where I absolutely just adore every single character. And sometimes with fantasy, romantasy, you can sort of predict what's coming next. Even though I don't usually think that far ahead, sometimes they can get predictable. But with these books, I couldn't do that at all. And that was why I loved them so much. I never knew what was coming. It emotionally destroyed me, but I was also giggling and kicking my feet at the interactions between the main characters. I could talk about that series all day. I just absolutely love it, so I highly recommend that one.
I didn't know any of those, so I'm totally going to be adding those to my TBR after this. You know what was interesting is I spoke to someone else on the podcast before, and they were saying about not just romantasy as a genre, but also just like plain romance as a genre. Sure, we know there's a happy ending. Like we know it's coming, and that predictability is something that we see comfort in. But the route to get there doesn't need to be predictable.
No.
And I found that to be such an interesting distinction. It's one of the reasons why I've avoided writing romance, because I like to try and keep the plots varied as much as possible. But it made me think. I'm not saying I'm going to write romantasy, but it made me think.
Yeah. Give it a go. Why not?
Well, you know what? I have a publishing schedule that can take me up past 2030 at the moment. So,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe wait a few years then. You have enough going. You have enough on your plate.
I mean, next I'm going to write this Dexter comp series that I've started drafting. And would you believe that when I came up with this series, Sins of the Half-Blood, so I compared Dexter and Criminal Minds.
I love them shows.
Listen,
I love them so much. I've watched Dexter 3 times.
we don't talk about season 7 and 8. Those seasons never happened. Dexter ended with season 6. That die on that hill, and anyone that disagrees can come fight me. But when I came up with this series, I mean, come on. I Struck Killer still, season 1 was elite. I cried when Rita died because I was like, she's so sweet, leave her alone.
I loved her with my whole heart.
And like what is the actor's name that played the Trinity Killer? John Lithgow. Now, I know that he usually plays comedy roles after that. I cannot look him seriously in the face because of the Trinity Killer. Anyway, so when I came up with The Sins of the Half-Blood, I just did it because I love Dexter. It's one of my comfort series along with Criminal Minds when I need a break from fantasy. And then I saw the Dexter revival happening and I was like, no.
I still haven't watched that.
I have thoughts. The Dexter prequel. I am usually not a massive fan of prequels because I'm like, you've told your story. Now you're just trying to find, the prequel was fucking phenomenal.
Stop it.
They cast as Dexter. Like, for me, that's an impossible role to recast. Like, Michael C. Hall did it beautifully. Like,
he was incredible.
The guy that they got to play him as a younger one, fucking phenomenal. Okay, I didn't expect that. To add it to the next level, the chick that they got to play younger Deb with her foul mouth was hilarious. Okay. And I mean, she's in high school and dropping fuck bombs left, right, and center. And the dad is like so awkward. Like, what do I do with my daughter?
Oh, I need to watch this. I absolutely love Deb. She was my favorite character.
You do. And this, you see, that's also why we don't talk about season 8. Season 8 never happened.
I know.
And now they've just dropped the trailer for the, what was it? Was it Resurgence? It was Dexter Resurrection. That's the name of the spin-off series. Let me tell you, some of the actors they have in that trailer, Uma Thurman, hello. I'm like, what is happening? I'm sorry. Now I wrote a series where I'm going to comp Dexter as one of my main things. I'm like, how's that for fucking coincidence? I didn't know coming. Okay. Danni, going into, I almost want to say the end of, or the second half of 2025 and beyond, what is something that you hope to see from the Bookstagram space?
So I'd love to see people doing what they actually want to do. More than anything, I feel like, myself included, put a lot of pressure on themselves to post a certain way or read certain popular hyped up books just because they're popular instead of reading what they love. I think just people sticking to what you like. But then again, I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I also get FOMO when I see a book being blasted all over Instagram and TikTok. Even if it's a genre that I never usually read, if I see everyone talking about it, I want to read it too. Marketing works. And then I think there's been a lot of emphasis on people supporting and promoting indie authors, and I would just love to see that continuing because some of the best books, the best fantasy, romantasy is coming from them right now, not just traditionally published. And I just think we should keep boosting that because you can never hype up an author too much.
Fully agree. And if I look at one of my, well, it's actually two of my close friends. So I just beta read her one manuscript, which I put in my newsletter this past weekend. I almost want to say a bit of a gothic kind of fantasy. It was giving me the Nightmare Before Christmas vibes. And even though it had a bit of a gothic spin to it, I was like, why am I laughing so much at this banter between the characters? Like, that's unexpected. It's wild to me that this friend is an indie author. It's such an experience that I get to be on the front lines of seeing this happen. And then another friend, I alpha read for her. So as she produces her chapters, and I said to her, I was like, I am available whenever you need me to be. That's how I feel about your writing. I'm writing. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it. I'm available to read. That is all you need to know.
Give
Because
me it.
I actually said to her, if you write a shopping list, I'm probably going to read it and love it. That's
Yeah,
how I feel about your work.
begging for scraps at this point.
Exactly. So I was like, anything I can do to help you write faster, you just shout because I'm your number one fangirl. So yeah, but then at the same time, this is also not me shitting all over trad authors because there's two traditional releases I'm actually really excited about. I mentioned her on the podcast before, Brittany S. Lewis for Blood Moon. I don't know if you've seen her, but she is very upset by how Bonnie Bennett was treated on the Vampire Diaries. Yeah, and she rage wrote a Bonnie Bennett romance because apparently the actors that played Klaus and Damon were like, hey, one of us should get with Bonnie, like in the books. And the
Yeah,
producers were like, fuck you. So Brittany S. Lewis went and rage wrote Blood Moon. It's kind of Bonnie's revenge. That's how she's calling it. And I'm like,
I
sign.
think I think I remember because I was obsessed with the Vampire Diaries for years, and I vaguely remember all this drama like kicking off over how Bonnie Bennett was treated,
Yeah.
and you've just unlocked so many memories in my brain.
The lore, and I've touched on this in another episode, but the lore that I almost want to say the Bennett bloodline could do, the Gemini coven, there was so much there that could be unpacked. But they were just like, oh, Elena, whiny Elena.
Stefan, no.
Like, I will always love him, Stefan. Okay, but like you get the point. And then and she's new to me as an author, but she is not a new author. I just want to
Yeah.
clarify that. Kate Golden is releasing Half City in Feb next year. When someone just said to me it's a demon hunting academy, I was like, sold. Like that was
Oh,
the sentence.
give me
Sold.
it. Give me it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's so many upcoming releases. I'm constantly on the Waterstones app looking for my next book to buy. It's unheard of. My money's not even mine at this point.
Well, you mentioned Waterstones. One of my Bookstagram friends here in Amsterdam, we were having lunch once, and she's like, let's just go past Waterstones. And I was like, you know, when you give someone the look, like, I know what you're doing. Anyway, I walked out with 2 books. And now every time I'm with her, I somehow end up with more books.
You can't just walk past Waterstones. You have to go in and buy a book. It's the unwritten rule, pretty much.
Danny, if anyone is listening to you and they're like, hey, I love Danny's vibe, I want to connect more with her, what is the best place to do that?
Instagram, definitely. I mainly post from there. Don't really have any other social media, and I'm on there pretty much every single day. So yeah.
So I see a lot of discourse about special editions, whether it be sprayed edges and or special editions, where some people are saying it's overconsumption to own multiple copies of the same book. Um, I personally used to fall into that camp. Now, I don't know if you can see, I'm starting to build up. Yeah, you
Love
can
it.
you can see I've changed my mind. What would you say to that discussion?
I think it's difficult because everyone's different. When I first started reading, I didn't have a Kindle. I didn't buy physical books. I read on my iPad on the Kindle app. And then I saw these beautiful books online and I was like, I love books. I want that too. And then that unlocked, I discovered this entire world of book subscription boxes, special editions on Waterstones, or one-time purchase book boxes online. But I think if you love a book and you want to have multiple copies of a book and you want to spend your entire wage on a book, then do it. If that is what makes you happy and brings you joy, then why not? Like I don't know if you could see any on my shelves, but I have multiple copies of the same book, like Throne of Glass, Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Mars. Um, yeah, I have loads of the same books, and it's because I love them and I cherish them. But I can see where people are coming from. Like, um, maybe in their opinion, some people do take it over the top by having 10 copies of the same book. But again, it's not really harming anyone.
Yeah, that's true. And I actually saw you do something recently which I really liked, where you were posting about you needed to make some more space on your shelves. So you were, I think, giving away books, but people just had to pay shipping. So you were
Yeah.
recycling them, so to speak.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I sold most of the books. I think there was about maybe 150 books for £1, and a few small independent bookshops bought them off me, which was really nice. I know they're going to a good home. And then the rest of the books I took to my local animal charity shop. And obviously they were really grateful because a lot of the books were unread because I'd read them on my Kindle. And a lot of the times I do have trophy books where I just like to have them on my shelves because I love them so much. But it was time to make space. But I also do giveaways as well. So I've had a few special editions from Fairy Loot and Waterstones that I'll just do like a quick 24-hour competition and then just pick a winner.
Well, I will tell you. So I got the Crescent City series. I've got the all three, yeah, on Vinted for 40 euros, three of them. So Book Format dictates. I only paid for two, and I got the third one for free.
Girl
Now,
maths.
yeah. Now, look, this is completely like in a phenomenal condition. The only thing that was wrong with it, and I don't think you can see it, it's like this is a little bit bent. That's it.
Yeah, it's just a little dent. You can live with that.
So, because if I look at in Amsterdam, one of those hardcovers is 18 euros for
Oh
one.
wow, that's a
So,
lot.
so I'm like 40 euros for all three. That is a fucking no brainer. So I'm going to own multiple copies of that book because you know what? I love the Crescent City covers. I love book one and two. I wasn't a huge fan of book three, but I have different reasons for that. But I still want to own the covers because you know what? Looking at it makes me happy.
And that's all that matters. I have that series as well, but I still haven't read it.
Yeah.
I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, I've read Throne of Glass. Love them both, but I just haven't got to Crescent City yet.
Well, I'm really glad I didn't step my foot in it and explain why I don't like book three. They spoiled it for you. Again, personal opinion. I have known some people that have loved it, so just keep that in mind. It has been absolutely incredible having you on the podcast. Thank you for taking the time out speaking to us, and I cannot wait to see what's coming next on your account.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had so much fun.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.